So that brings us to the syntax of a typical jQuery statement. Remember that the typical pattern is select something, then do something to it. The $sign is nothing more than the name of the jQuery function. Yes, the $sign is a valid identifier character in JavaScript. We could use it ourselves in variables and function names, but it's just that nobody does. So $sign is just the name of a function. It could have been Fred or Fizzbad or supercalifragilistic, but for brevity, it's just $sign. Or jQuery. The $sign and the name jQuery are aliases for each other. Most jQuery statements start by calling the $sign function and passing it a string. This string is called a jQuery selector and identifies what's to be selected. When called in this way, the jQuery function finds all of the elements in the DOM that match the selector and returns it as a special collection known as the jQuery wrapped set. In this case, the wrapped set returned by the call to the $sign function is the set of all image elements in the document. Don't worry too much about the selector syntax right now. It's going to be the focus of another part of the course. Once we have elements selected into the wrapped set, we can apply any number of operations to those elements by calling methods that are defined on the wrapped set. In this case, we're calling the hide method that, you guessed it, hides the selected elements. So the result of executing this statement is to hide all images on the page. The statement might look less cryptic if we had used the name jQuery in place of the $sign, but using the $sign is what all the cool kids do, unless there's a reason not to, which we'll get to in just a moment. So let's go look at an example and look at a few of those statements in this light. So here's some jQuery code to perform an AJAX operation. It may look a little bit cryptic now. Again, it's got lots of $signs, lots of parens, lots of braces, but remember the pattern we just saw. And if we start from the inside out, we'll notice that here we have a call to the $sign function, passing it a string that is a selector, and then on that calling a method, in this case val. So we see that pattern here, a string being passed to the $sign and a method being called on it. If we look a little further out, we see that pattern repeating itself again. Here we have a selector named targetDiv being called, and on that we're calling a method named load, passing it some parameters that actually include another jQuery statement. Looking further out, we see the pattern once again, this time using a selector named #testForm and calling a function, a method, called submit, passing it a function that in turn includes jQuery statements. This is the pattern that we're going to see time and time again. That particular call to the jQuery function and calling methods on it, which may include statements that contain further jQuery methods. There's another one out here that doesn't quite follow the pattern that we were talking about. So we're going to find out about that in just a moment.